A newborn gorilla was dying in plain sight, and no one dared to act. Even the zoo's trained experts froze, afraid that separating him from his mother would spark chaos. But one NICU nurse in the crowd saw the truth, and the mother gorilla made an unthinkable choice. But just wait until you see how this heart-pounding rescue unfolded, and why it became a moment of pure, unstoppable justice. The sun bathed San Diego Zoo in golden light that morning, turning the winding paths into glowing ribbons between exhibits. The air buzzed with the laughter of children and the distant squawks of exotic birds. Families huddled around the flamingo pond, mesmerized by their vibrant feathers. Teenagers posed for selfies near the giraffes, angling their phones to catch the perfect shot. Vendors shouted cheerfully, offering lemonade and plush animal toys. But on the far edge of the zoo, nestled in a quiet corner beneath the canopy of thick tropical brush, one exhibit stood in striking contrast: the gorilla enclosure. There was no chatter there, no laughter, just an uneasy silence. A handful of visitors lingered, their voices lowered to whispers, as if they sensed something sacred was happening and didn't dare interrupt it. Inside the glass habitat, sitting in the filtered shade near a patch of sun-warmed rocks, was Kira, the western lowland gorilla matriarch. Towering and dignified, with a silver streak along her back and deep, intelligent eyes, she was known among keepers for her calm temperament, normally shy, protective, never approaching the viewing glass. But today, she wasn't herself. She was still, unnaturally so. In her massive arms, barely the length of her forearm, rested her newborn, a tiny infant named Kai, born just weeks earlier. His arms were slack, his eyes barely open, his breathing slow, faint, uneven. His little chest rose and fell like a flickering candle on the verge of going out. Kira rocked him gently, again and again, as if repeating the motion could restart something that was fading. Among the visitors, one woman stood rooted in place. Amanda Brooks, 36, a neonatal nurse from Austin, was visiting her sister during a weekend trip. She hadn't planned to stop by the zoo. It was just something to do on a free afternoon. Half an hour, she'd told herself. A quick stroll, maybe a pretzel. But something pulled her to this corner. Amanda wasn't looking at the gorillas out of curiosity. She was watching with the gaze of someone who had seen too many fragile lives struggle for breath. She didn't see just a primate. She saw a baby in trouble. She watched as Kira shifted her weight and adjusted Kai's position again, with a tenderness that made Amanda's heart ache. The baby didn't respond, not even a twitch. And then, something extraordinary happened. Kira stood up. The giant gorilla moved slowly, almost deliberately, toward the thick glass that separated her from the world. She didn't pound, didn't display, didn't threaten. She looked. Her deep brown eyes scanned the faces behind the barrier, searching. And then, they locked with Amanda's. "I don't know how to explain it," Amanda would later say in an interview. "It felt like she was looking through the glass for help, and then she found me." With a gentle shift, Kira raised her arms and lifted Kai toward the glass. The entire crowd fell silent. There, inches from Amanda's face, the limp body of the infant gorilla pressed against the transparent wall. His tiny hand curled loosely, his mouth slightly open. Then came the moment that froze Amanda's breath. Kira tapped the glass, once, softly, almost pleading. It wasn't instinct, it wasn't confusion, it was choice. Amanda's instincts ignited. She didn't hesitate. "There's something wrong with him," she said, barely above a whisper. "He's not okay." A zookeeper, alerted by the crowd's stunned reaction, approached quickly to ask her to move back. But Amanda didn't step away. Her body stayed planted like stone. Years of neonatal care had trained her to recognize distress before machines did. And this was it. She turned, voice calm but urgent. "He's in respiratory distress," she said. "You need to act, right now." In that moment, between one breath and the next, the mood shifted from quiet awe to quiet panic. And the race against time began. The vet team hesitated. They knew the risk. Separating a baby gorilla from its mother could lead to panic, even tragedy. But Amanda's voice cut through the tension. "If you wait, he won't survive the night." The words hung in the air like a verdict. No exaggeration, just certainty. Finally, the lead vet nodded. Emergency extraction was authorized. Staff moved quietly. No shouting, no sudden steps. Inside the enclosure, Kira sat curled around her son, her body tense, eyes wide. When someone approached, she let out a low warning sound, a raw mix of fear and protectiveness. Amanda stepped forward. Not too close. She knelt by the glass and began humming, a gentle, rhythmic tone she used with human infants in distress. It wasn't language, but it spoke volumes. Kira stared at her. Then, slowly, with heartbreaking hesitation, she laid Kai on the ground near the back wall and stepped away. Nobody moved. Seconds passed like minutes. Two medics slipped inside, lifted Kai carefully, and vanished toward the animal hospital. Amanda followed without waiting for permission. At that point, everyone knew she was needed. In the treatment room, tests confirmed the worst, severe pneumonia, compounded by dehydration. His oxygen levels were crashing. They placed him in a specialized incubator. Amanda stayed. She administered microdoses, adjusted flow settings, listened for every breath. His chest barely moved. At 4:02 a.m., the monitor flatlined. No one spoke. Amanda began compressions. Tiny, precise, rhythmic. 1 minute, 2, 7. At minute 8, a gasp. So faint, but unmistakable. Kai came back, and Amanda, still holding his tiny hand, finally exhaled. For 5 days, Amanda lived at the animal care center. She didn't leave, didn't go home. Zookeepers brought her food on trays, extra blankets, even clean scrubs. They knew better than to ask her to rest. She sat beside Kai's incubator like a guardian, watching every breath, tracking every beep. Just down the corridor, in full view of the treatment room's window, Kira waited. The mother gorilla hadn't eaten since the separation. She didn't scream or pace. She simply sat, still and silent, by the same corner of the habitat every day, her eyes fixed on the glass that separated her from the place where her son was fighting for life, every single day. And then, on day 6, something shifted. The room was quiet, humming only with soft machinery. Amanda had just finished adjusting Kai's oxygen when a tiny flicker of movement caught her eye. He opened his eyes, slowly, weakly, but they opened. She froze. Then with a trembling hand, Kai reached up, barely clearing the edge of the dome, and touched Amanda's cheek through the transparent incubator. It was just a graze of fingers, but it broke her. Amanda sobbed, right there, kneeling at the side of the dome, whispering, "You made it, little one. You made it." Later that afternoon, the decision was unanimous. It was time. The reunion was streamed live across the zoo's internal monitors. Staff gathered in silence. Some leaned forward in anticipation. Others simply clasped their hands, unable to speak. Amanda carried Kai in her arms. No machines now, just soft fleece and steady breaths. He was light, but warm and alive. His tiny hand peeked from the blanket as Amanda stepped back into the gorilla habitat. The moment her feet touched the enclosure floor, Kira moved, not with rage, not with fear, with purpose. She rushed forward, closing the distance in seconds, and then stopped. She looked at Amanda, then at Kai, then reached out gently and took her son into her arms. Cradling him to her chest, Kira checked his scent, his breath, his warmth. She rocked him softly, slowly, and then released a sound no one expected. A low, rumbling hum. It wasn't a cry. It was peace. And then, without warning, she turned back toward Amanda. She approached the mesh wall separating them and reached out her hand. Amanda stepped forward, tears already in her eyes, and placed her palm against Kira's, 5 thick fingers meeting 5 trembling human ones through the mesh. They held it there, 10 long seconds, in absolute silence. Amanda whispered, "You knew. You trusted me. Thank you." And in that moment, across the building, from keepers to medics to visitors watching on screens, the world wept with her.